Other little hints and tips when it comes to buying bikes. If you're looking at pictures of bikes online and it's low resolution pictures, don't bother buying it. Even on the cheapest phone you can buy, with the crappiest camera you can buy, will still have a 720 DPI picture capture. It will still have a decent quality you can zoom in on. If you're looking at a picture of a bike and you try to zoom in on a picture and it's so fuzzy you can't see if it's got any scratches, then that means it does have scratches. So yeah, be very fucking careful about people putting pictures up with low resolution pictures. If you can't zoom in on it, then that means it's scratched the fuck and it's not worth the grief. I am avoiding like the fucking plague BMW and KTM. Things that are all pretty much the same. Buick, KTM, BMW, Harley Davidson. They're all fucking tractors built for farmers. And people like to wear a chap to the ass hanging out. As much as I'd like to have a Triumph just for once to say I've got a Triumph, in all likelihood, I'm not going to bother. Because it's quite simple, even if BMW are basically a carbon copy of Japs. In all likelihood, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to go for a Jap bike. For the very simple reason, I'm a biker, not a car driver. Car drivers get bikes to pose, to brag, not to actually ride, not to actually do 500 miles a day, just for the sheer hell of it. I've never had a car license, 30 odd years, which is why when I get a bike, it's going to be something that has to be used in all weathers for hundreds of miles at a time, day in, day out. Yeah, a Tracer is a temptation, but it looks boring as fuck. I was going to go for the Z900, but a good thing you can do as well, if you're looking to buy a bike, if you're going to spend a grand or something, don't worry about it. But if you're going to spend more than 3 or 4 grand, join a group that is for that bike. I tried joining 4 or 5 of these groups. Only one let me in, don't know why. And it didn't take more than 2 minutes. I was scrolling down through the thing to see that there's a lot of common complaints with the Z900s. This is the modern version, like 2018. Foot pegs snapping off after, I don't know, a couple of thousand miles. The rear shock absorber snapping off because the bolt going through is substandard. It's those little things. It's also a fairly good explanation as to why these people sell the bikes on when they got low mileage. Because they know damn well if they got high mileage, they're going to be fucked. I mean, I was looking at spending $7,000 on a bike. Now I'm actually thinking about saying fuck it and get something cheaper. I'm not getting a Triumph. They're not worth the fucking grief. It's just that Triumphs, they're not an English company. They're German. I mean, 100 years ago, yeah, they were English, but they're not anymore. They're German. Like pretty much most European stuff is German. And it's not like cars that are German where they're actually good, reliable made. They're just fucking expensive. And it's not just buying it because the buying price is similar to a Jap bike. It's the parts. Because a lot of the time, you can only use genuine Triumph parts and they're fucking expensive. You are talking like 5-10 times the amount for a servicer. So, I don't know. I mean, spending $5,000 on a bike, I can justify that with an extra grand for servicing, but honestly, nah. You know, these ones, if it's got a weird name, they can generally assume it's going to be something like a Chinese ripoff. I do see a nice Chinese ripoff, but I don't want to spend $5,000 on a bike that could just die within a week with the electrics, which is what I had with the Zontis. Even though I bought the Zontis brand new, the X310, electrics were fucked from word go, and the shop I bought it from, GV Bikes in Taunton, refused to fix it, refused to give a refund or do anything. They just wouldn't do a fucking thing. So, see, that CBR 1100's a temptation, but it's 20 odd years old. I don't want to go for another fucking old bike. I want something built within the past few years. I'd actually rather have a fucking moped. Okay, no, I wouldn't. I'd rather something smaller. It's yellow. I can't do yellow. that is actually newer. Yeah, I am actually considering this one. Because I've seen a couple of these. I actually think, oh, they've got fucking... Yeah, this is where you got an issue, you see. When you've got the indicator in the mirrors, that's a problem. You clip your mirror on a fucking car when you're filtering and pass fast. Bang go your indicators. I mean, it does look quite nice. Fuck all screen. So you look at things like the exhaust. Has the exhaust got any scratches on it from where it's been slid? Because that is where you would get the marks on the exhaust. You also look for the fairing. Are there any marks on the fairing where it's been slid? Or any splits or cracks? You also want to look for this part here. Because down here is where it's going to hit the road. Straight after, it's hit your brake caliper. Because the brake caliper that's so big on sports bikes, they're the ones that get shattered first, and these parts will snap off. So you want to check your bar ends, any gouge marks, any scratches on this. That looks in pretty good nick, actually. What's the year on that one? Same again, though, it's 14 years old. You spend over £6,000 for a 14-year-old bike. 10,000 miles. So it's got lowish mileage. But the next thing that I would do would be to get the vehicle reg, wherever the fuck it is. Yeah, it's not showing the vehicle reg, which is a bit suspicious because most bike shops do. Yeah, see, it's not showing the vehicle reg. So you've got the vehicle reg, you can then go and find out the MOT status, when it has been MOT'd, how much mileage it's done. Because it might have done low mileage, like when I buy a bike, it's normally got low mileage on it until I buy it, then the mileage goes through the fucking roof. I mean, I doubled, my last bike was 15 years old. For the first 13 years, it had done about 12,000 miles. When I bought it, and I more than doubled the mileage in 2 years. Because I ride bikes, not cars. So, I was suspicious of that one because they're not showing the reg, you can't check the MOT status. And not all garages give you an MOT. Sometimes when you do get an MOT, there's no guarantee it's going to be genuine. Yeah, they like showing that side of the bike. They don't seem to want to show the other side. There we go. Same again. Check for here to see any scratches. See, there's supposed to be a thing, a pad on the end, and it's not there. But that's not very high res picture, so you can't zoom in very much, which means to me that something may have been gone wrong with it. Because here as well is where you're going to get, these bikes are normally slid on the left hand side, not the right hand side. Sometimes they're right, but mainly on the left. It's a Western thing because most people are right-handed, so they feel more confident going into left-hand bends. That looks like it could be scratches or scuff marks. But because the picture is low res, you can't tell. If it has been slid on the left-hand side, then that means these calipers could have been snapped on the arms, which means replacing this whole fucking section. That could be a very expensive fix. Yeah. And that has been bent. See, that they tried to do the low res picture so you can't zoom in. So what you can do is actually open it in a new window and then zoom in. Yeah, that's been hit there. Right, so this bike has got gouge marks on the fairing where it's been slid. You got a stress mark here, a stress mark here, here a stress, there a stress, everywhere a stress mark. Right, what this means is it's gone down, it's hit the fairing here, and the brake caliper has hit the road. So you've got another stress mark here. This is where this caliper has been bent and then straightened. So that means those brakes are no fucking good. That bar end has been dislodged. And I think, I'm not sure that's been bent or not, but I think that's been bent as well. You can't tell from this angle, but I'm pretty sure that's been bent. So, yeah, that's a crash bike. And the fact that it hasn't been fixed shows it's a recent crash as well. So that's a no, which is a bit of a shame. But it's little things you have to look out for. I'm not getting a BMW. I don't even have pictures, for fuck's sake. It takes, what, 5 seconds to take a picture. and then stick it on the online. The fact they haven't done it, a phaser is so tempting. But that's 2009, so it's going to be a very detuned engine. I had the 99 version, the first new bike I ever bought, as a 600 phaser, and it was full power, 160 miles an hour. These are very, very detuned. If I were to be desperate and to get a bike, I'd be tempted to get one. I mean, it's got fuck all mileage. 24,000 is very low mileage for a bike like that, because these can do 24,000 a year quite happily. So same thing again, though, I want to see the reg so I can check out the MOT and whether or not he's actually given MOT on these bikes. The hunt continues.